Welcome to the one more video, and in this video we'll be solving for an unknown variable. And either we're working with fractions or some kind of quadratic functions and so on, and we'll try to solve for the variable. So for the number 27, we are asked to solve for the w. I don't even see it here. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Found it. So I'm working with two fractions on the left hand side and on the right hand side. There are many ways teachers teach you how to get rid of those fractions. For example, you can do it step by step, which means first we can multiply by 4 and get rid of the fraction on the right, or then we can multiply by 6 and get rid of the fraction on the left. That's possible too. Or sometimes we teach you cross multiplication. That means that you can just multiply like this, and it works as well. Let's try the second way. The second way is the cross product. 5 times 4, so I will do way 1 and see which way is faster. 5 times 4 is 20 equals 6 times w minus 4. Now, I'm still looking for w, so I want to isolate the unknown. Always remember that. So the most important idea is to perform all kind of steps you know to isolate whatever you're looking for. Exclamation mark. So I'm looking for w, then I want to isolate w. To isolate w, I don't like those parentheses. That means I will distribute 6 to get rid of the parentheses. That just makes sense. 6 times 4 is 24. Now I don't like it w with 6 standing around some kind of constants like negative 24. So I will leave 6w to stay by themselves. So I will add, here's my note, add 24 both on the left hand side and on the right hand side. So plus 24 equals 6w. As you can see now, 6w is isolated. Let's rewrite it. 6w equals 20 plus 24 is 44, right? And it doesn't matter how you write it on the left or on the right. Now, the last step to isolate, remember I'm trying to isolate w, is to completely have it standing by itself. So the last step will be to divide by 6, because 6 is the only step between me and isolated w. So w will be 44 over 6, and that can be simplified as, let's divide by, say, 2, so it's going to be 22 over 3, and that is the answer. Way 2 to deal with fractions like these is to actually do it step by step, because technically speaking, I could multiply everything by 4 first, then I will have 20 over 6 equals w minus 4. And then, as you can see, w is almost isolated. So what I did, way 2. What I did is I multiplied everything by 4. And if I multiply everything by 4, both left hand side and right hand side, 4 in denominator will cancel out, and instead it will be multiplied over here on the left hand side. And that's how I got 20. So now w is already isolated. I will write down w equals 20 over 6, and I don't like negative 4, so I will just add 4 on the left hand side and on the right hand side. Create common denominator. 6 is a common denominator, then it's going to be 20 plus 6 times 4, 24, and the answer is 6 times 4 is 24, and the answer is the same, 44 over 6, which is 22 over 3. So actually the second way was faster. And that's the creative part of mathematics. Try different ways, compare them, and choose the one you like. Now, let's do second example. In the second example, where is my unknown? It says solve for y. Here's my y, so I need to isolate that piece of term that has y. That means I want to keep 2/3 y standing isolated. 2/3 y equals, that's what I want. To do that, I want to add 3/2 to both sides, because we have negative 3/2. left-hand side will be was negative 2/5. Now it will have negative 2/5 plus 3/2. And you can still keep writing this on the left-hand side if you want. I just like having unknown on the left-hand side all the time, and some constants and whatever is not needed on the right-hand side. Now before I move on, I definitely need to create a common denominator. So I will have 10, and then I will multiply by 2 the first fraction and by 5 the second one. I'll have negative 4 because it's negative in front of the fraction, and I will have plus 15 on the right. Next step, 2/3 y is 10 in the denominator, and then I will have 11 because 15 minus 4 is 11, not too bad. Finally, I can isolate y now, so my goal is to have y equals whatever it is. To do that, I want to get rid of this fraction. This is 2/3. To get rid of 2/3, I will multiply by 3/2. So the answer will be 11 over 10 times 3/2. 11 over 10 times 3/2. That is 33 over 20. 33 over 20. And that is the answer. Now, here I see we have C, 2, Y, and K. What are we looking for? Okay, they told us to find Y, then it's over here. Again, to isolate Y, I will first distribute 2. And this way I will have C equals 2Y minus 2K. Then I will write down 2Y equals, because I cannot just isolate 2Y. I cannot isolate Y right away. I first need to isolate 2y, like we did in the previous examples. 2y equals C, it was on the other side of the equal sign. And then I will add 2k to the both sides. So it's going to be plus 2k to get rid of this negative 2k. The last step is to divide by 2 to isolate y. Y equals C over 2 plus 2k over 2. But 2k over 2 is just k. And that is the answer. In this equation, we are asked to find h. Here it is. So we have f 1/3 g plus h minus k. Same idea as in the previous example. First distribute 1/3 everywhere. I will have f equals 1/3 g plus 1/3 h minus 1/3 k. See my other video how to distribute carefully everything. Make sure you keep all the signs and the constants. Now remind yourself what you're looking for. I'm looking for h, but h is multiplied by 1/3, so first I will isolate 1/3 h. I'll move everything to the other side. F was on the other side of the equal sign originally, but now I will have minus 1/3 g, because originally it was plus 1/3 g, and since I had minus 1/3 k, I will have plus 1/3 k. Basically, every time something is moved to the other side of the equal sign, you should change the sign. So positive becomes negative, and negative becomes positive. The last step is multiplied by 3 to get rid of this 1/3. H equals, that's how you isolate, becomes 3f minus 3 times 1/3 is 1, so it's just minus 1g, and 3 times 1/3 is 1, so it's just plus 1k, and that is the answer. And in the last example, we want to solve for n. Idea is still the same. I first need to isolate 4n. 4n equals d minus 3m. Then I'm going to divide by 4. N equals d minus 3m all over 4. You don't have to do all over 4, but this is already a good answer. You can also say n equals d over 4 minus 3/4 m. That is the same thing with the common denominator or not. The answer is the same. So again, rewatch my other videos where I explain how to distribute, how to factor out, and so on. But the most interesting thing is to remember, every time you move a term to the other side of the equation, you need to change the sign of this term. And the whole goal, remember, is to isolate whatever you're looking for. And isolation should happen in steps. You should not immediately jump into finding n out of here. First you look for 4n, and then you find n. And the same happened with previous examples. You cannot jump into finding h first. You first had to distribute 1/3, then you had to isolate 1/3 h, here it is, and then you finally isolate h. So isolate in steps. Be patient and careful, and you will do great. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.